If you want to use a free group or community to sell your paid offers, this video is for you. I'm going to show you the complete ad campaign setup that you need, and I'm going to dive into one of my students' ad accounts to break down how it really plays out in practice. All right, so this is one of my lovely members, Ron, and he is hosting a free community on Skool, and then he also has a paid community on Skool, right? And so these are his ads, and we're going to dive in to show you how it plays out in real life when you want to use a free group, a free community to sell your paid offers and support your growth with ads. Okay, so first let's talk about the campaign setup that he has here. So he has a campaign to grow his free community. In his free community, he onboards members and offers a call from where he eventually upgrades into his paid community, right? So we have multiple entry points to consider. We want to have people into our free community, but then we also are focused on generating scheduled calls so that we're upgrading people into our paid community. So that's the first campaign setup, is the one going to his free community. Now, the second campaign is a retargeting campaign for his paid community. Right, so this is to get people into our paid community. Now, his free community is free. His paid community is $89 per month. Okay, so let's look into this campaign setup first. Both of those campaigns are sales campaigns, right? So when you create a new ad, you select manual setup, sales campaign, and then each of those campaigns has a different optimization event. The campaign going to his free community is optimizing for complete website registration. The one going to his paid community is optimizing for website purchase. Now, I see people running traffic campaigns and things like that. That will not result in any results for your ads. You need to have the right campaign objective, sales with the right optimization event, complete registration for a free community, purchase for a paid community. In order to be able to optimize and actually track your results, you need to set up the Skool conversion API tracking, and that's a 3-minute job, and I have a free YouTube video. You would want to check it out first to make sure that you have this set up. So this is your starting structure when you have a free and a paid community. You would want to have one campaign going to the free community, one campaign going to the paid community, which is a retargeting campaign, right? So what is a retargeting campaign now? So basically, it is still a sales campaign optimizing for purchase, but you're targeting people who are already familiar with your offer. So the narrowest way to target is to create a custom audience out of your website visitors. Next, and then after you have set up the tracking, you would want to go the longest time possible, 180 days here. And then you can of course select all website visitors. And if you only have a school, then you don't need to separate out. But if you have multiple offers, multiple websites, you can also say people who have visited specific web pages the URL contains. And then so in my case, it would be Grow with Evelyn. And so this way, I would have an about page viewers 180 days audience. And so then I can create this audience. And when I'm creating my sales campaign, I can select it on the ad set level. So here's exactly what this looks like. On your ad set level, you have custom audiences. Then you type in, you navigate to custom audiences. Then you can select this, and that makes it a retargeting campaign, right? So nothing else. Now you can, of course, also have your retargeting campaign broader. So for example, Ron could also say, I want a custom audience, and I want to have everybody who was on my page and they have engaged with my ad, right? Because he has this ad running to his community in the last 90 days. Because they also would be great for my retargeting audience. And with that, I can broaden my retargeting audience a little bit. Okay, so in that case, we would want to add this additional warm audience here into the bucket. Now, since he probably is using Advantage Plus placements, his ads are also shown on Instagram. So we would want to do the same thing here and say everybody who is engaged with a post or ad, last 90 days, IG ad engagers, 90, right? So with that, he can broaden his retargeting audience so that this audience doesn't get too small. And especially if you're a beginner, you don't have a lot to spend, then this is how you would want to set it up. Okay, so this is the initial setup. Audience add to complete the registration free, where we have a broad targeting or interest-based if their interests that match really well. And then we have a paid that is going for purchase, that is a retargeting ad following people around that are already a little bit warmer. Okay, and so this is what you see in his account. Here, this is what you see in his account. This is the exact initial setup. Okay, now let's talk about what he has going on, because he submitted because he wants to optimize this current setup that he has. So when we are looking now at the top of funnel campaign, where he is driving registrations to his free community, first thing we want to note is that $5.78 cost per registration is actually quite good for running ads in the B2B field to a free Skool community. So I have seen people, coming in with cost of $10, $12. So he's already on the better side, but his cost started to creep up. And ultimately, we've also managed to get the complete cost per registration as low as $3.50. So there's definitely room for improvement for us. So how do we find this room for improvement? Now he's diving in a little bit more into this campaign here, and basically he is showing me his registrations and then also his secondary KPIs, right? So when we're looking at the registrations for the first one, he actually decided to, and by the way, can you see that the registrations also led to purchases here? Right, so yeah, he actually has almost positive ROAS because this is a monthly recurring revenue offer, right? So in the next month, he's already making money from this. But now we want to see the cost for the registration here, right? So this gave him cheaper cost per registration. This gave him higher cost per registration. So he decided to turn those campaigns off. And he was just targeting broad the tier 1 countries with English speakers. So United States, Canada, Australia, United Kingdom, and New Zealand. And so he did let the algorithm basically do the rest of the targeting, which often is a good idea. And so what we see from his secondary KPIs, he made the decision to turn it off. Let's first analyze, was that the right decision? So when we're actually navigating to the secondary KPIs, we can see that, while this ad set didn't bring any purchases, what it did do is that it got us appointments scheduled, right? And so for $35 versus $47. And although, those here have not the purchase value attributed, this is getting us cheaper calls scheduled. And unless you're using Hyros, right, with the attribution, it's always a thing. So if with this cost per call scheduled, I'd personally not turn this ad set off. I would toggle it back on and let this run again. Okay. Now, the next thing that is interesting here is in both of those ad sets, he has one image ad running where he advertises a course that's inside his free community, which is a strategy that we often see to reduce the cost per registration, and it works, right? And then he has a video walkthrough of the community. So in the ad set that he has turned off, that got a higher cost per registration, but cheaper calls scheduled, the video was the dominant one, right? So we can see how it's more friction to consume that, right? But then also how it increases the intent, which very likely is what helped us to get the more affordable cost per call scheduled. It's too little data to make that statement, but because we got the affordable call scheduled, I'd personally turn it back on. And I think it's very curious that we see that the video is performing better here when it comes to getting calls scheduled. Now in the other one, the image is performing better. Okay, so now let's look overall. Is there still room for improvement to get this number down? So the initial cost per registration. Now again, the answer lies in the secondary KPIs. So the CTR all says how scroll stopping your creative is. And here my minimum benchmark is 4%. And we can see that here in the ad set that is currently running, we're slightly underperforming. So my hunch is that we definitely still have room to improve the creative to make it more scroll stopping. Here on the CTR link click-over rate, we're optimizing for 1.5% plus, and here he's performing really well. So he can use the existing copy, but definitely we have to do more work on the creative. And another suggestion that this is true is the following. So Facebook is also showing Ron that the creative is limited, and he has in both of those audiences only one video and one visual. So he definitely needs to produce more creative. Now, if you feel lost as in what type of creative, don't worry, I got you covered here as well with this video where I break down all my winning ads that I ran to Skool directly. And so while this video talks about ads that I use to grow my paid school directly, the same creative concepts can be also borrowed for ads to a free community. So what are the creative concepts that I like to use? I call them kind of easy ads because they're mostly images and Loom videos. So something people can produce quickly. You don't need a complicated script. If you're not super comfortable on camera like I am, you can still produce those visuals relatively quickly. Okay, so let's first talk about walkthroughs, scroll-throughs, print out, right? So walkthrough is basically when you show somebody around inside your community. So very similar to the creative that Ron has already running. This is just me taking people behind the scenes in my community and showing them what's inside. We can run this like relatively natively. So just upload the Loom and that's it. Or we can also embed this walkthrough video in a Canva frame. So let me show you what this looks like. So if we embed the walkthrough in a Canva frame, we have a little bit more room to convey our message and to also call to action to watch the video. So that can also help with stopping the scroll, and it just gives us more variation to play with colors, call outs, etc. So here you can see when I say call outs, I mean something like join growth Evelyn. I could also say attention membership owners, attention coaches, course creators, right? And then here I can change the call to action. Get help with your list growth, membership, and coaching ads. I could also say learn how to run membership ads, right? Or stop wasting money trying to grow your community. So I can have different callouts here, use the same video, but basically hook in differently. And that gives me a lot of room to test, really, when I just had to create this walkthrough once. Okay. So next video type is the scroll through. So here you can see, basically, this is you just taking people inside. So this was for me for strategic freebie, but for you, that would be the same concept as in you're not walking through your whole community. But for example, in Ron's case, because he's promoting a free course that's inside his community here, and that's our winning angle for the ad. So you can't see the visual yet, but he's promoting a course. Well, he can take us inside his course specifically, right? And then there's, again, the way to then take that video and add a call out on top, right? So the same goes with, he can also play with the course image in the classroom and test different images and also test different courses. So when I was running ads, I would test my different courses, like the list building course, the membership course, the ads course, right? And always have the classroom thumbnail here. And then I would play with either screenshot or video walkthrough of the course here below. So another type of creative that he can make relatively simple. Now, the next types of creative that are really easy is lifestyle images, right? So that's also something you can totally test. Try to make it still either like super outstanding. So for example, I had one image that was doing really well that was from my son and I in the holidays. That was just like a really, really nice setup. Or, and what also my numbers showed converts better, still make the lifestyle image relevant to your community. So for example, I just had here Ads Manager open because my community is a lot about ads as well. And I was sitting on my balcony, having a glass of Prosecco. And so that lifestyle image was doing extremely well for me. What you need to know about lifestyle creatives is that they will have really high CTRs and then relatively low CTR link click rate, but that's okay because they're kind of so native, they're just more scroll stopping, right? So especially for Ron with having comparatively or having improvable, let's say CTR all here, he might very well try to lean into lifestyle ads and show, him working on his laptop on his community, for example. So try to still make it relevant too, keep it relevant. And then the goal is to get this number up here higher. This number is already doing quite well. Okay, so that will be the recommendations here, is to create more ad visuals and then also test different targeting, right? So another thing that we see is that Ron's CPMs are relatively high. So we just had the election in the US. So for this campaign type, it is actually not too high, but here you see $51 CPM. That's quite high. 31 is a lot better. And actually the difference in performance is just coming from the CPM, because here this ad set and the ads in there are performing better from the CTR all and the CTR link click-through rate. It is just that Facebook was charging you such a high CPM here that it was comparatively underperforming. Right, so CPM is sometimes this black box, and when we have things like the elections, then it's influenced, but there's still things that we can test. And so what I would do in your case is I would actually go ahead and I would test a lookalike audience of all of your Skool about page viewers. And from the members count, you still don't have enough. You have a few hundred, I think. Let me just double check. Oh, I was wrong. So 1.9 in the free community and then 124 in the paid community. Definitely we can create a lookalike audience of the paid community members as well to test, right? So we can test a lookalike audience of the about page viewers. We can test a lookalike audience of members to see if it helps us with the CPM, but also with how relevant the ad is for the person who is seeing it. Plus, the people in the lookalike audience are Skool users. And when somebody is a Skool user, the opt-in on the free community is higher because often they already have a profile, right? If they're Skool user in 100% of cases, they already have a profile. So there's much, much less friction in the sign up, which is why I would recommend testing a lookalike audience of your about page viewers and of your members. So how do you do that? We already work here in the ads manager. Now you can come here, lookalike audience. You need to create again the custom audience like I showed you. Now you can select it here, about page viewers. And then you need to select the countries that you're targeting. You need to have at least 100 unique people in those countries. Otherwise, it gives you an error. So I'm just using US for demonstration purposes. And then you say create lookalike audience. And then very similar to how we have done it before, right? In the custom audience section here in your ad set, you now can select the lookalike audience you just created. Okay, so that will be another way for us to ultimately get the cost down on his top of funnel campaign to build his free community. Okay, so those are the steps that we would want to take here. Now, what about the retargeting campaign, right? So the retargeting campaign is, quite profitable with $40 cost per sign up when his membership is $89 per month. Now, when I look at the frequency here, this is too low of a frequency for me for a retargeting campaign. So I would want to see a little bit of a higher frequency here. And he only has one ad in here as well. We can go up with the budget. Currently, he's spending $10 a day. I will go up to $15 a day and see over the next 7 days how does the frequency develop. So we would want to have a higher frequency on our retargeting campaign, and we would want to have different messaging in our retargeting campaigns as well. Right, so when I come back here to my retargeting campaigns, those are much more bottom of funnel. So we would just want to retarget with the image of our paid community and be like, here from the copy, I was like, hello again, you were so close, come back and start learning and growing with us. Or maybe you're seeing this because you already are a Grow Family member. Did you know that I'm not excluding past buyer from my retargeting audience because they usually leave the loveliest comments? So that actually happened under this post. I'm really grateful for that because it's hard to describe what the community is like on the inside. Think of it like this. You can tell someone all day long what a banana tastes like, but they won't know until they have tasted it. This is why I offer 7-day money back guarantee. If you don't like what you find in the community, just send me an email or reach out via DM and I'll send you a refund. Let's get something started today. Right, so basically the retargeting messaging is, I would definitely call out my existing members to let them and not exclude them so that they can drop a helpful comment that has served me so incredibly well. Like many of my ads, they're not outstanding creatives or outstanding copy. It is the comment section and the feedback that my actual customers, the honest feedback that my actual customers leave that are selling the communities, right? And you can spark that, you can incentivize that flywheel of positive comments by doing that. Right. And the same with the bottom of funnel ads. It's like mock up of your community, your lovely face in there. Like you put your face in the face of people and keep reminding them that you exist. and do it with a higher frequency. Okay, so that is my main recommendation here for the retargeting campaign. Now, what's next, right? You have half the setup. And it's good because we're building out your ads manager and the campaign structure. Now, what you're missing is a more affordable top of funnel. I talk all day long about my Heart of Growth system and how I use lead generation campaigns to build my list and drive cheaper traffic to my offers, right? So the way this works is you have an instant form on Facebook, you advertise a strategic freebie that's a perfect fit for your community, reverse engineered from basically the about page of your community. Then people say, yes, I want this. They opt in with their email. With Zapier, you hook them up into your email marketing tool. You send them the thing and you guide them towards your community in the welcome email and in all of your nurture emails. So that increases the traffic to your free community, and that also fills up your retargeting bucket, right? But for cheaper, because here, if we're good, we're getting down to $350 per group member, but then that will also increase as we're trying to scale this. So really, we will have higher cost per registration, but we also want to build up our email list and our top of funnel more affordable. And with the right strategic freebie that filters, we can have 5 times the amount of people with their email addresses on our list where we can re-reach them for free while also building up our top of funnel. So supplement your setup with a lead generation campaign. This will decrease your risk because you're also building the email list, and increase your profitability long term tremendously. From my personal experience, in my personal world, this has always been true. My email list is my most profitable asset and the backbone of my business. Okay, now the complete registration campaign we optimize, then the purchase retargeting campaign we optimize it, also with more creatives. And now for the other campaigns that are missing, we're missing a cold audience prospecting campaign, right? So first we would want to select an ad set budget campaign, and we would want to work with, again, the lookalike of the about page visitors, the members, even your paying members, because you have over 100, and roll out those ads that already build up social proof, right? Like the one that I showed you here, when members leave the comments and the likes. And so, for example, here you can see this has 89 comments from members, like raving, right? So those ads that have built up social proof and the feedback from your members, we would now want to push them out towards colder audiences. So what Ron is missing right now in his setup as well is that cold audience setup to run ads to cold audiences. And I see very often, especially in the Skool setup, that the campaigns to cold audience after the initial setup is there convert better or similar than retargeting campaigns, right? So that's the next step that I would test. I would set the budget on the ad set level so I can force budget towards certain creatives and build them up even quicker, and also test more creatives. And once I have found more winners, I'm usually moving them to a scaling campaign where I have my winning audiences and winning ads in a CBO campaign. It's more scalable, right? And then ultimately what the setup should look like finally is we have 80% here and 20% here, right? So not 100, not 80, 75, because 5 on the retargeting, right? And that's like generous. Because if we're not specifically excluding people here, which I don't do anymore because of the social proof that I can get, those campaigns are also in themselves a little bit of a retargeting campaign as well, because Facebook will get you usually to a little bit of a higher frequency because of the ad recall, right? So Facebook also wants to reach people more than that are likely to convert more than once with your ads. Okay, so that's the ultimate overall setup. I hope you found this practical and insightful, and it gave you a lot of aha moments around running ads. Thanks, and bye.